huge ICE operation down in Florida leads to almost 800 illegals arrested. Also, illegals targeted in front of Home Depot in California. And how many deportations have happened up to this point in the second Trump administration? Let's check it out.
More migrants have been arrested so far in a massive ICE operation in Florida, which is known as Tidal Wave. Dana Maria McNichol is in Miami for us. What do we know about these people, Dana Marie?
Hey, Stuart. Well, ICE says this first-of-a-kind operation targeted major cities in Florida. So local law enforcement and federal partners like ICE and CBP, they worked alongside each other. They describe who they caught in that group as violent illegal immigrants. Now, ICE officials tell Fox News the arrests include a man convicted of homicide in Colombia who entered the U.S. undetected as a getaway, a Russian national with an Interpol red notice for manslaughter, an alleged Guatemalan MS-13 gang member, and a man from Honduras, a suspected terrorist member of the 18th Street Gang. Both gang members, ICE say, have illegally re-entered the U.S. multiple times. The Department of Homeland Security is calling the large-scale operation a major success and says it's a preview of what's to come across the nation.
We have partnerships under 287G authorities that Secretary Noem signed, and this empowers state and local law enforcement to actually be able to use their enforcement authority to carry out immigration enforcement. And what that means is they can actually make arrests and clean up our streets.
Now, Florida is leading the nation, the only state where all sheriff's departments signed up to gain immigration authority under the 287G program you just heard her speak about. Immigration advocates say the operation is meant to create fear amongst the immigrant community in a state where 1 out of 5 people, that's 20% of Florida's population, is foreign born. And Stuart, ICE says Operation Tidal Wave is still ongoing. And just this morning, we heard from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who reiterated the fact that this type of operation will be replicated across the country.
800, that's a lot. And of course, you have these advocates. Oh, you're creating fear among the immigrant community. They're not targeting people here in the country legally. They want you to believe that. Again, I'm going to keep talking about that. You know, they always go back to that. Just so stupid. But great partnership with the sheriff's departments down there in Florida, partnering with ICE, the federal authorities, to get dangerous, violent criminals off of the streets. You had a gang member from Guatemala. You had somebody allegedly associated with 18th Street Gang. And then, so this is good for the people of Florida. This is good for the people of Florida who are trying to make an honest living, American citizens, people who came to the country legally. This is good for everybody. It's good for the black community. It's good for the Hispanic community. It's good for everybody. All right, that's a big operation. I know we have one down here in Texas. Not as big, but 118 arrested in Colony Ridge. I know people want to see more, but we'll get to that in a little bit. We'll get to some of the funding issues that ICE is dealing with, so that'll be worked out soon. But let's check out what happened in California.
ICE agents reportedly raid the parking lot of a Home Depot in Pomona, detaining more than a dozen day laborers.
Immigrant rights advocates are up at arms over the incident, calling it immoral and offering advice to those who might be targeted. Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez joining us live in Pomona with the latest on what happened.
By the way, this happened in California, my home state, the state I was born in, and now I am Texas raised. California made, Texas raised. Get your t-shirt today, 20% off on your first order, mixedtexanstore.com. 20% off using the code MIXEDTEX at checkout. Let's keep going.
Well, Mark and Giovanna, the Home Depot is a popular spot with day laborers who come here looking for work, trying to help their families in some way by providing them with that work. Now, what they encountered here, though, this morning were ICE agents that detained and arrested them, and that, of course, is prompting swift backlash from immigrant right groups. Immigrant advocates stood with...
Okay, if you're wearing a mask in 2025, maybe, I mean, there's something wrong up here. There's something wrong with your head.
signs as they called for the removal of immigration and custom enforcement agents from the community. The gathering coming together hours after ICE raided a Pomona Home Depot, detaining several day laborers waiting outside, hoping to be hired for the day. One of them, Carlos, narrowly avoided being caught. Speaking through an interpreter, he described the emotional toll.
When I started seeing the scene, I started crying. The tears started leaving. We're here. We're human beings. We're only here to support ourselves and to maintain our families.
According to Carlos and other witnesses, the raid unfolded just around 8 a.m. as ICE agents arrived in both marked and unmarked vehicles, rounding up workers from the parking lot.
It took 15 to 20 day laborers.
All right, so you avoid getting caught, then you go on in front of a camera.
Who were only here asking for work. It is unjust, it is immoral, and it should be a crime.
The raid sparked swift backlash. Local immigrant rights groups quickly coming together to condemn the federal immigration agency and urge those who are undocumented to know their rights.
It's not a crime to look for a day of work, for an honest day of work. That is not a crime to be a day laborer. It's honorable.
You are detained.
Oh my gosh, shut up, you idiot. Of course it's not a crime to look for work. But if you're here in the country illegally, you have to understand that there's a possibility you may get deported. That's what happens when you come into a country illegally. I just don't understand. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, these people are just out here looking for work. There's nothing wrong with them. They didn't do anything wrong. Then it should be a crime for that one guy. It's a crime to have that man bun, sir. Take that off. It's hideous. But anyway, these people make me sick. You see the reporting on this right here. It's ABC 7 in California, so go figure.
You can exercise your rights. You can refuse to answer questions, and you can ask to speak to an attorney.
Eyewitness News reached out to ICE for a comment. The agency issued this statement. Due to our operational tempo and the increased interest in our agency, we are not able to research and respond to rumors or specifics of routine daily operations for ICE. Now, immigrant rights officials are telling those day laborers that they should not be put off by coming to places like the Home Depot to look for work. They do tell them, though, to know their rights before coming out here in case they are detained. And they're also letting the families know of those who were arrested this morning by ICE agents that if they need help getting information, they can contact them through a hotline number. It's 909-361-4588.
I've had it with this report right here. Anyway, deportation number is very good, but we want them to be great. Let's check out how many illegals have been deported.
Now, Senior Advisor at U.S. Customs and Border Protection, that man right there, Ron Vitello. Ron, nice to have you. Always nice to see you, sir.
Thanks for inviting me.
So tell me, obviously a lot of focus on what's happened in the first 100 days. Tell me on what success looks like going forward, because I see at the southwest border, encounters down 95, 97, whatever the number is, a lot, down at the southern border. But I also look at deportations by presidents. Trump 2.0 on pace for 2 million deportations. That is well short of other presidents. Again, it's on pace at 2 months in. Why is that the case, and what does success look like in your view?
Success is sustaining everything that we're doing on the border, right? So adding technology, adding agents, more access to the border, more border wall. There's 85 miles in the pipeline since Inauguration Day, 77 miles of barrier already down. So the encounters are down. That gives you almost 100% increase in capability at the line. So going forward, having those things in a more permanent way, sustainable over time.
Are the deportation numbers where the administration wants them to be? Or would you say that it needs to move up?
They are very good. They're doing all that they can.
Very good.
But let's not remember, we want it to be great.
Okay.
And so what has to happen is it has to be scaled up. We are still working on a budget and a foundation for the budget that was built by Joe Biden. We're using Donald Trump's priorities to activate at the border and in the interior. That information, and both of them have to be scaled up. It has to be sustained. And so that requires an additional investment, right? That means resources. And so phase 2, you scale these operations up. We go from good to great.
So that's the building behind us, right? And if Congress can deliver on, I think it's maybe like $100 billion or something of funding, if they give you that money, if they give the administration that money, you say that sort of takes you to the next level of enforcement?
That allows us to stabilize what's happening at the border, investments in technology, access, more boots on the ground, sustain what we're doing and continue. And then in the interior, they can scale up the requirements for detention and the at-large arrests.
Stephen Miller.
That's good to know, because I know there are a lot of people complaining, saying that, oh, they're not moving fast enough. They're moving too slow on this. Not enough is being done for deportations. There's no doubt, no question, that there has been a huge success in shutting the border down, from keeping people from coming inside the country. Huge success. And deportations are good. I'd say they're good, solid. 135,000, 139,000. Tom Homan said, so you're in that 135, 140,000 range, and that's very good. But people have to realize that they're dealing with the budget that's still from Joe Biden. So don't get discouraged. Once they get more funding, these things will ramp up, and we could see 2 million gone in this second Trump term, which is not bad. But I know people would like to see upwards of 5 to 6 million, but that has to happen once they get more funding. But 2 million is not bad. Who knows how many came under Joe Biden, but then you have people self-deporting. It could be 3 or 4 million anyway, when it's all said and done, if it stays the way it is right now. But if they get more funding, we could see that number increase to a lot more.
On the North Lawn today, I thought was asked a fantastic question. It was one that caught my attention, and it was basically, has Mexico done enough? Simple question, but here was his response. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
Thanks to President Trump's leadership, the Mexican government has done more than it's ever done, but it's still not even close to what we need and what the president expects. There's much more that we expect from Mexico, particularly in regard to the fentanyl.
Explain what has happened with Mexico that you're satisfied with, and where do you align with Stephen Miller there, in which the administration feels you're going to push them elsewhere?
Well, we absolutely want all the help that Mexico has been giving us. But I'm an operator, and Stephen knows this very well as well. They can always do more. Everyone can always do more. We can do more.
Like what?
Well, they can sustain what they're doing. They can engage in a real partnership that says, if we're going to share the responsibility for this border, they're going to do as much as we're going to do. And so continuing the military-to-military relationship, continuing their deployments, and then having a regulation at their southern border, which would be much easier operationally to control than the northern border with us and them. So they have to continue. They have to continue to lean in. More joint prosecutions for both immigration crimes and drug smuggling at the border.
Okay.
More, like I said, more leaning in operationally so that we know what's happening. More exchange of intelligence. They sent 29 wanted criminals into the United States, extradition, so that more things like that we can do together.
There has been a...
All right, so a partnership going on between the United States and Mexico. That's good to hear. A lot of things can happen in a positive manner on the illegal immigration front if we have those partnerships from the countries below us. Mexico, all the way from down to Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. El Salvador is doing a fantastic job in partnering with us, so I'm not even worried about them. They have a great president over there, a law and order guy who's not putting up with any kind of BS. So I'm going to leave that right there. I want to share those few stories with you, keep you updated with what's going on the illegal immigration front. If you like this video, hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Take care.